Imagine, just for a second, looking up at the sky. But we aren't just talking about the sky in our own universe. We're talking about looking up across every conceivable timeline, every alternate reality, and watching existence itself literally tear apart at the seams. I want to take you on a really deep dive into an absolutely terrifying cinematic event. This is a scenario where Doctor Doom doesn't just settle for conquering a planet or defeating a superhero team. No, he completely destroys the entire multiverse. We are talking about the absolute definitive end of everything we have ever known. There are no grand epic battles where the heroes save the day at the very last second. There are no magical time travel resets to fix it all. Doctor Doom actually succeeds. He brings the infinite cosmos crashing down, and from those smoldering ashes, he doesn't just crown himself king, he elevates himself to the status of a literal god. Let's break down exactly how this catastrophic reality unfolds, step by step, and what happens to the absolute slimmest margin of survivors who are left waking up in its wake. When we say all realities collapsed, I really need you to feel the sheer, staggering magnitude of that statement. You know, we're so used to seeing our heroes fight tooth and nail to protect a single city, or maybe, if the stakes are incredibly high, a single planet. But this is the systemic domino effect wiping out of billions of universes. Imagine looking at an infinitely sprawling tree of timelines, right? Now imagine watching every single branch on that massive tree wither, burn, and turn to ash in an instant. Trillions upon trillions of lives, rich histories, and entire bustling galaxies are simply wiped from existence by a single man. It is a cosmic execution on a scale that is honestly almost impossible for the human mind to fully process. Doctor Doom systematically forces the collapse of the multiverse, erasing every alternate Earth, every diverging timeline, until the vast canvas of existence is entirely blank. So out of that infinite, terrifying void, Doctor Doom decides to create something new. He creates Battleworld. Now, Battleworld isn't just a new planet that he terraformed. It's a stitched-together Frankenstein monster of a reality forged from the absolute last remaining fragments of the destroyed multiverse. Imagine taking broken shards of glass from 1 billion different mirrors, where each shard reflects a different dead universe, and violently gluing them all together into one jagged, bleeding sphere. That's Battleworld. It's a single, surviving patchwork reality where different territories are essentially the fossilized remnants of dead universes. And sitting at the very top of this chaotic, terrifying new world is Doctor Doom. He rules absolutely. His word isn't just a law that you have to follow. It is the fundamental, unquestionable fabric of this new reality itself. But here's the thing. The true, profound horror of this reality isn't just the physical destruction of the universe, it's the theft of the mind. As Doom creates Battleworld, he ensures that all memories of the past are entirely erased. Billions of souls wake up on this patchwork planet with absolutely no recollection of their previous lives, their original universes, or the massive cosmic tragedy that just occurred. Their histories are completely overwritten. They're forced to believe, down to their very core, that this fragmented reality has always existed exactly as it is right now. And worse, they believe that Doctor Doom has always been their one true benevolent god. It's literally the ultimate form of planetary gaslighting, stripping away not just people's homes, but their very identities. Now you might be wondering, did anyone see this coming? Well, not everything goes perfectly according to Doom's grand design. In the frantic, burning moments right before the absolute collapse of the multiverse, a select few realized the end was completely unavoidable. They looked up, they saw the skies bleeding out in colors that just shouldn't exist, and they knew that fighting was utterly futile. There was no army left to assemble. There was no villain they could just punch in the face that could somehow stop the systematic erasure of existence itself. This brought about an impossible, horrifying choice. You can't save the world, so how do you simply survive its end? This sheer, agonizing panic leads to a moment of brilliant, terrifying desperation. Let me walk you through exactly how they actually attempt to cheat the end of everything. In the absolute final moments of reality, a handful of heroes, specifically Reed Richards, Captain Marvel, Vision, Spider-Man, and a few others, make a mad dash. They sprint toward a highly specialized escape ship known as the Raft. But they don't just board it. They have to modify it in a frantic, terrifying race against the clock using a deeply intricate combination of Richard's cosmic engineering and Hank Pym's shrinking tech. As the multiverse is literally shattering all around them, crumbling into pure nothingness, the Raft shrinks down and drops directly into the quantum realm. Think about that for a second. They aren't trying to fly away to another galaxy because there are no galaxies left to fly to. They're trying to hide inside the microscopic spaces between atoms. This kind of survival required a monumental, totally unprecedented collaborative effort. We're talking about the two greatest minds in human history, Reed Richards and Hank Pym, combining their technology to build the ultimate definitive lifeboat. The raft wasn't designed for war, it didn't have massive cannons, it was essentially a heavily armored submarine designed to withstand the crushing, existential pressure of a dying multiverse. Their combined genius was the absolute only thing capable of shielding this tiny vessel from the omnipotent wrath of Doom's reality warping event. It was a vessel built from pure desperation, incredible ingenuity, and the sheer, stubborn refusal to simply cease to exist.
So why the quantum realm? Why not some other dimension? Well, the quantum realm is a subatomic dimension that exists entirely outside of standard time and space. When Dr. Doom rewrites reality and erases the memories of everyone in the cosmos, his incredible power operates on a universal macro level. By shrinking down and entering the quantum realm, our heroes are basically utilizing it as the ultimate temporal and physical bunker. It's like they're hiding under the floorboards of reality itself. But, this also means they are entirely disconnected from everything they ever loved, just floating in an abstract void. It's a brilliant tactical retreat. They are gambling that even a god's reach has limits, and that the subatomic chaos of this microscopic universe will act as an impenetrable shield against Doom's universal memory wipe.
8. I really want you to just sit with that number for a second and feel the agonizing, suffocating weight of what it represents. 8 years pass. For nearly a decade, the God King, Dr. Doom, reigns entirely unchallenged over Battleworld. For 8 long years, billions of people live in a complete lie, worshipping a tyrant as their ultimate creator. That is 8 years of total, undisputed, absolute power. There are no Avengers around to stop him, no Fantastic Four to outsmart him, absolutely no hope. It is just the iron-fisted rule of Doom, shaping and molding his patchwork planet exactly as he sees fit, with absolutely no one left to question his divinity. And where are our heroes during this entire, agonizing decade? They are lost in the pitch-black, silent depths of an alien ocean. I want you to try and picture the highly atmospheric, crushing darkness of the ocean floor on Battleworld. Down there, where absolutely no light reaches and no one dares to explore, the raft has just been sitting dormant, completely motionless in the silt. It's essentially a metallic tomb holding the absolute last remnants of the old multiverse, buried under billions of tons of water. Far above them, a false god rules the skies with an iron fist, and below they simply drift in a silent, dreamless stasis, completely unaware of the nightmare raging above. But, as is usually the case, absolute control is eventually tested by sheer human curiosity. A group of deep-sea explorers on Battleworld, likely just scavenging or mapping out the unknown, treacherous territories of this patchwork planet, stumbles upon a strange, metallic shape half buried in the ocean floor. Now, they have absolutely no idea what they are looking at. To them, it's just ancient, bizarre wreckage from an era that officially never existed in their history books. They are entirely unaware that by shining their probing lights on this sunken ship, they are about to pry open a cosmic Pandora's box. They are about to unearth the living ghosts of a dead multiverse. And this right here is where we experience one of the most visceral, cinematic moments of the entire narrative, the awakening. The explorers manage to drag the ship up to the surface, and they actually reactivate the raft. Imagine the heavy, deafening hiss of depressurization. Picture the flickering of emergency lights that haven't burned in 8 long years, casting these long, eerie shadows as the heavy stasis pods slowly grind open. Reed Richards, Captain Marvel, Vision, Spider-Man, they finally open their eyes, gasping for fresh air. They step out of their temporal bunker and look around, only to realize with absolute dread that they are standing in a reality they do not recognize at all. The sky is wrong, the air is wrong, everything is just wrong. And here is the absolute most crucial, staggering reality of their survival. They remember the truth. Because they were perfectly sealed inside the quantum realm, completely insulated from standard time and space, Dr. Doom's sweeping universal memory erasure just did not affect them. They look up at the sky of Battleworld and they instantly know it's a massive lie. They remember their real homes, they remember their lost loved ones, and they remember the terrifying apocalyptic truth of how Dr. Doom slaughtered the multiverse. They are quite literally the only living beings in existence whose minds haven't been poisoned by the God King's grand illusion. But listen, remembering the truth isn't just some tactical advantage. It is a profound, crushing emotional burden. Let's take a moment to truly understand the heavy toll this takes on these survivors. Imagine being Spider-Man, waking up and realizing the New York you knew, the friends you bled alongside, are entirely gone. Or even worse, they've been rewritten to blindly serve a megalomaniacal dictator. Imagine the sheer, unfathomable grief of Reed Richards, knowing he couldn't save his own wife and children from the cosmic collapse. They are literally carrying the trauma of an entire dead universe on their shoulders. Every single person they look at on Battleworld is a tragic, walking, living reminder of what was mercilessly stolen from them.
So, this brings us to a staggering, frankly impossible question. Who will fight a god? Our heroes have woken up. They remember the absolute truth. And sure, they possess incredible power. But they are looking up at a being who literally forged a planet out of cosmic dust and shattered entire dimensions with his bare hands. The sheer scale of the enemy they now face is impossible to overstate. Dr. Doom isn't just a man in a fancy metal suit anymore. He is the omnipotent, undisputed architect of reality itself. How do a handful of stranded, severely traumatized survivors who are currently drowning in grief even begin to punch a god?
Well, the answer lies in their absolute unity. These stranded survivors cannot rely on the old factions or familiar safety nets that they used to have. There is no massive Avengers roster to assemble, there are no overarching cosmic forces like the Nova Corps coming to their aid, and there is no cavalry waiting in the wings. They must band together right now, pushing past their crippling grief and trauma to form a completely brand new underground alliance. Spider-Man, Vision, Captain Marvel, and Reed Richards. This isn't just a superhero team. This is the absolute last fading spark of resistance in the entire cosmos, forged in the literal fires of a stolen reality.
And this awakened, desperate team brings us to the epic culmination of the whole narrative, the Secret Wars. This is the ultimate stage, folks. But I want you to understand that this is not a war fought openly between massive clashing armies on a traditional battlefield. No, it is a secret, highly subversive rebellion launched from the deep shadows against an all-seeing dictator. Our surviving heroes have to carefully navigate the treacherous, stitched-together territories of Battleworld. They have to find allies among heavily brainwashed populations operating completely under the radar of an omniscient tyrant, all while planning the absolute impossible, the unseating of God Emperor Doom to somehow restore the natural order of the multiverse. It is a slow, methodical, terrifying insurgency against a divine being.
So we've seen how the multiverse fell in a terrifying cascade of cosmic fire. We've seen exactly how Battleworld was forged in absolute, unquestionable tyranny. And we've seen how a desperate, microscopic gamble in the quantum realm allowed just a tiny fraction of heroes to survive with their minds entirely intact. They are awake. They remember absolutely everything. And the lines for the Secret Wars are finally drawn in the sand. But as we look at this ragtag group of survivors, staring up at the impossibly high throne of an omnipotent being, I have to leave you with one final lingering thought. They have the truth on their side, they have the unmatched genius of Reed Richards, and they certainly have the element of surprise. But will they truly be enough to kill a god?